Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Advisor 3.0 podcast. Once again, it is me, Jay Gusher, one of the producers around here, just giving a bit of context to what you're about to hear again, and just to say thank you for listening. Thank you for staying up to date with all the content we've been pushing out, and it seems like most of you guys really enjoy it, hearing and reading your comments about things that interest you in these episodes. So keep them coming, please. If you want to leave us a review, which would be great on anywhere you get your, good podcasts from, or anywhere you hear this, would be great. Any comment, good or bad, we love hearing them. Here today, we have another solo episode for you, and we noticed our St. James's Place on did quite well, and which is good, I guess, because we're going to be doing these quite frequently in between the main ones, in between the bi-weekly interviews that Abraham does. So we're touching base, we're keeping you posted. Again, just to add some context of what you're just about to hear, this is about Abraham's trip to America that happened in September. He went to 2 conferences, and essentially, this is what his take is on them, is what he thought about them. We were umming and ahhing about putting this thing out, but we thought, it's getting colder. The clocks have gone back, spring forward, fall back. They've gone back. So now we're going to inject some summer into this winter thing. And definitely not because I thought I lost the episode. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, Abraham's trip to America.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Advisor 3.0. I say welcome back because you're now back for the final sprint, the final quarter of the year. And also, I say that because I've just come back from an incredible week-long trip to California with some of my leadership team attending a few conferences. So I want to share that experience with you on this episode of the podcast. In early September, we took a trip to California. So it was myself and 4 other members of the team. Now, this is not my first rodeo. I've been attending conferences in the US, I think as far back as 2016, maybe. And I remember I was sharing with the team on the trip, actually, one of the very first T3 conferences that I attended. So this is technology for today. So this is specifically a conference for financial advisors and generally the wealth management industry. So this time, we attended 2 conferences. One is called Saastr. So Saastr is essentially a generalist conference about software in general. So you find a lot of software as a service companies, the likes of, Box, the likes of Monday, CRM tools that are out there generally. They attend these conferences, Zoom and the likes. So we attended this in San Francisco. So we flew into San Francisco to attend this, and it was a 3-day conference, a great experience. And then we headed over to Huntington Beach. So for this conference, so we Huntington Beach is closer to LA. So we flew not actually to LA, but anyway, over to Huntington Beach to attend FUTUREPROOF, which is a conference specifically for the wealth management industry. Now, I've been asked by a few people to kind of sum up my experience and my takeaway of this conference. So last year, we did the same thing, other than these conferences 2 conferences were scheduled the other way around. And it was myself and, Kathika, who's our Chief Operating Officer, and Ed, our Chief Commercial Officer, that attended that conference. This time, though, I did something different, and I think as amazing as this, the content, the buzz around this conferences were, by far the biggest impact on me, the biggest takeaway for me was spending time with my team and just getting to know each other much, much deeper, much better. So, what we did this time was that we actually opened the trip up to our spouses. My wife came along to the conference. Nacho is our CTO, and his wife. They came along. They actually brought their baby. They have a 1 year old, I think. So they brought the baby along, and Ed came along, didn't bring his spouse. Tom, again, our chief marketing officer, came along with his wife, and another member of the team, Anna, joined us later on for the Huntington Beach part of the experience. And for me, just sitting around the breakfast or the dinner table outside of the business in an environment that, for me, was incredibly inspiring. Um, it's just such an amazing experience. And yes, we did talk a lot about our business. There was a lot of comparing and contrasting of the UK market with the US market. There was a lot of discussions about technology, but just talking and bonding with each other about our lives, about our kids' lives, about what's going on, what makes us think, our hopes and our aspiration. That was just such a fantastic experience. And, as you can expect, the partners spend quite a bit of time together. So my wife and Tom's wife, spent quite a bit of time together talking, talking about the kids and about their work, and how we bring our own drama, our own work drama to the household and the impact on the household. There were a few tears shed, I'm told, and for me, it's insane. And this is the thing. We run a company. Timeline today is now a company of around 45 people, all of us working remotely, in 10 different countries. I think 11 if you count Scotland as a country. And we have a base in London. Some of the team go. Some teams go in more frequently. I try to get the entire company together once a quarter. And then we have our annual conference that we get together all the UK staff and now the international team members. But for me, that single experience, that week-long bonding experience, for me, I thought that we got much out of that. We got about a year, maybe 18 months worth of bonding, that you would get in a natural work environment, going to work every single day, meeting your colleagues, or every other day of the week, or whatever the experience is. I thought in that 1 week, we went much deeper as far as our individual lives are concerned, and sharing that experience together. We actually we took a private tour of the Hollywood together. We walk, what do you call it, the famous Golden Gate Bridge together. We walk. Last year we just visited Golden Gate Bridge, but actually this time we walked from the San Francisco Pier, I think it's called. We walked the entire length of the Golden Gate Bridge, taking pictures, having conversations, to the other side of the bridge. And then we took an Uber to Sausalito. Wow. Sausalito is just an incredible place. Just a peaceful scenery, lots of and things to do around the area. And I remember just as we walk, we went into this, American type bar, with some of the team members, and we were sitting there. And as we were walking, I was having a conversation with Ed, our chief commercial officer. And I said to Ed, and I said, what do you think is the biggest determinant of an individual's success in life? And, he sort of went, hard work, having a vision for your life and clarity as to what you want to accomplish, all the usual stuff. And I just said to him, no, where you were born, the place of your birth, you win an incredible lottery if you were born in Sausalito compared to somebody born in Salisbury, maybe, or let's make it worse, Sudan. The I don't care how much hard work the chap or the girl born in Sudan, how much hard work they put in, it's a hell of a climb. And I should know it's a hell of a climb to even, um, have as much success or peace and accomplishment in life, as the chap born in Sausalito. So to me, sharing this conversation, sharing these experiences with each other, was just fantastic. And so the takeaway for me, look, I don't really tell people how to run their own businesses or what to do. I don't. That's not the point. I am not advocating for work from home or remote working or all these things, all these ridiculous, boxes that we've created. The point I am making personally is that I would rather less frequent but deeper experiences with my team than more frequent, shallow experiences. So that was a great part of the trip. Now, okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the key takeaway, from these conferences. So one of the reasons I attend Saastr, so this is my second time of attending Saastr in the US. Saastr Annual, it's called. It's run by a guy called Jason Lemkin, who I believe founded. EchoSign, which ultimately was acquired by Adobe, and I've attended the London one or the Europa one, not as good, still good, but not as good as the American one. And the key attraction for me going to America, to this particular one is that first of all, it happens in San Francisco, the San Francisco Bay Area, and you have all these big, successful, forward-thinking tech companies. You would get, to hear from, CEOs and founders of companies that make a difference in our lives. You will have a lot of interaction. There's a lot of data about venture capitalists and what they're up to, and so, you would listen to an interview with the CEO of Zoom or Basecamp or Box or any of these technology tools. The one thing is that US numbers are insanely big. Everything is measured in billions, as in revenues are measured in billion or addressable markets, as they discuss it, are measured in billions. And so what you have to do as a founder from the UK going to these events is that you have to divide the numbers by 10 and then subtract your date of birth just to get any semblance to the to any meaningful comparison to the UK. But no, it was again a great event to attend. Now, one of the key themes that dominate, and remember, these are the cutting edge, they're the leaders of digital technology, software as a service, as they're called, or cloud companies in the world. The key thing that was every single session that I went to and was hammered into us is this idea of a compound product. This idea that technology and software is moved away from what we still have in financial services today, which is single point solutions, to companies being compound products. And Nacho and I went to a presentation by one of the leaders of a company called Samsora. You've never heard of them, and but Samsora essentially provide digital technology for the digital technologies for the physical environment. So think of your farm or your haulage companies or I don't know, your manufacturing plant. They install technology that enables these businesses to capture data. That might be video data, that might be production data, that might be temperature on the farm, that might be, some sort of, traffic and, whatever data on your truck and haulage truck, and all of this data will go seamlessly to the cloud and enabling the companies to then make sense of what's actually going on in their businesses, to automate things, and generally just make their services better. And they were just talking about how they went, from zero to I don't know 5 million of revenue with their first product, their first digital product, and then they added the second and then the third, and how throughout that process they talked to their clients about the direction of travel and the massive benefit to their clients just having an integrated experience, an integrated journey, so that they don't have to jump off one piece of tool to go to another piece of tool to go to another piece of tool. So that was a really great presentation, and ultimately how they've managed to build this company that you've never heard of, build a business with wait for it, 1 billion pounds of annual recurring revenue, and so that was a great session that we attended. We saw the same pattern with a company that you might have heard of called Monday. So Monday is an online project management software, and there was this interview. So this was an interview between Jason Lemkin and one of the co-founders of Monday, and this guy was talking about how 7 years ago he attended Saastr. They had just started their company. They had at the time, I think it was 7 million of ARR of annual recurring revenue, and he was sitting just like any other founder, in the room. This company is actually based in Tel Aviv in Israel, but he came over to the US, and as you do, exposed your mind to what's actually going on in that part of the world. And he talked about how, as a company, again, adopting this approach of just tracking and measuring everything, tracking the data about their clients' use of their technology, and using that data to in their product development to add their second or their third or their fourth product. And ultimately, this company went in 7 years from, from 7 million of ARR to, are you sitting down? 600 million of ARR. The company, I believe, went public and for them it's been such an incredible company. I don't know, are they public? Anyway, I don't know if they are, but again, you know he talked about how by going down how technology computing powers is actually now incredibly sophisticated, that they moved away from they encouraged their clients to move away from single point solution, and ultimately where they have integrated set of tools to do their job, um, and their lives better. You don't have to learn multiple tools, and you don't have to worry so much about data and a lot of integration with third parties. You still have integration with third party, but the core and the center of your activity as their client is on that single platform. So that was the overriding my takeaway. I mean, like that particular platform Monday now, I believe enables you to do 9 or 10 related tasks, starting from, say, project management, or task management, if you want to create a client project, operating your business, managing resources, setting goals and strategy for your company. You can do it on that single platform. And so anyway, so that was my big overriding takeaway from Saastrs. There was a lot of content and a lot of data about what's going on in the venture market. Not that that's relevant to most of our listeners, but other than the fact that VCs aren't deploying capital, there's a lot of there's a winter. They keep talking about this. They keep talking about, there's a winter in venture capital markets. Hey, what else wasn't gaining any attention at this conference was gaining attention. There was a lot of talk about application of AI and how AI is going to change the way that we work. So in that regard, VCs are still deploying a lot of capital into AI, and there was consensus that this is a little bit like the gold rush. Many of the AI companies that we see today aren't going to survive. Many of them are going to fail, but the one or two or three that survives are going to gain a big share of the market. And then, of course, ultimately, what we're going to have is that AI is going to become table stakes. Everyone's going to be using one form of AI tools in their business or the other. So that was that's my overall takeaway from Saastr. We ended over to Huntington Beach, and essentially FUTUREPROOF was, call it, a festival of wealth management, or wealth management festival. And what you had was, this conference takes place in the open air, you had all the major, technology, platform custodians, asset managers in the wealth management industry exhibiting at this conference. The thing you love about this conference is was obviously open air. You had these stages that the speakers speak out of, and then of course you can go to the different stages. There were podcasts going on, there were exhibition stands going on. It was just a different experience. There were no suits, there were no suits or tie in sight. Everybody was in t-shirts and shorts or jeans or whatever. So again, my second time, their second time of actually, putting up the festival, and my second time of attending that. Now, a couple of observations that I took away um, from Future Proof. The first one, one of the most impactful sessions for me was by Joe Duran. So Joe Duran, if you don't know that name, ran or founded United Capital, which was call it an aggregator. Um, Essentially, he grew this business primarily through acquiring financial advice firms in the US, and integrating them. And he ultimately grew this business to 25 billion of AUM, and then sold this business to United Capital for $750 million. All right. So Joe was talking about his own journey, his own experience, but one of the key points that he made to me, in that session, was that you know a lot of these aggregators and consolidators, primarily backed with private equity money, are doing the thing that he did, what he did, you know, 10 years ago, but they're doing it so poorly. And, in effect, there is no organic growth within these businesses. They are buying books of 60 something year old clients who are in decumulation. These are his words, not mine. And ultimately with attrition rate of say 4 or 5% a year, because people are living off their portfolio. Again, you know and so he just thought, well, this is poor. And ultimately what happens is that these businesses get consolidated or aggregated. Integration is a massive ball ache, and in the process you have this trend of advisors leaving and taking their clients with them. And that's exactly what happened with United Capital. So United Capital sold to Goldman Sachs. It was sold at 25 billion of AUM in dollars, and in less than 3 years, 2.5 years, they worked incredibly hard. Goldman Sachs worked incredibly hard to turn 25 billion of client assets to 12.5. You really have to work really hard, incredibly, insanely hard, to screw things up so royally. And of course, the reason is that a lot of the advisors left. And we've talked about this before, that there is always, a much stronger bond between the advisor and the client than between the client and the faceless organization or institution. And United Capital obviously ultimately sold. Sorry, no, Goldman Sachs ultimately sold that business to somebody else. And so, as Joe was talking, I just sat there thinking, where have I seen this movie before? I have seen this movie before. I have. Yes, I have. And I think similar thing is happening in the UK market. We'll talk much more about this, in other episodes. But yeah, I see this happen a lot, in the UK market. And look, there is that trend in the US today that they call the breakaway advisors. So these are all, smaller firms who are breaking away from, warehouses or large banks or indeed, large wealth management businesses and setting up and striking up on their own. That is one of the biggest trends that you see across the pond. And so the US, in many ways, is always about, certainly in terms of wealth management, between 5 to 7, maybe even 10 years ahead of the UK in terms of technology, in everything, wealth management, in everything other than regulation, which we are clearly ahead of them. But that's a different conversation for another day. But my point is that, like, if in the US, the seat of capitalism, the seat of insane amount of private equity money, the seat of, the US wealth management industry is probably, 10 times the UK. I mean, just to give you an example, the entire UK platform market is something like 600 billion of assets. One custodian in the US, let's say Schwab, has, I don't know, 5 trillion of assets. So my point is that, it's a much bigger market, it's a much sophisticated market than the UK. If in that market, consolidation and consolidators struggle, not for lack of capital, not for lack of inspiration, not for lack of expertise. I mean, Joe Duran is the best that there is, in wealth management. This guy is just so switched on, but even he couldn't manage to stop this trend of breakaway within a large and reputable institution like Goldman Sachs. I just don't see how. I don't see how all these private equity companies, more precisely, P-backed consolidators are going to pull this off in the UK. Now, am I saying that, one or two of them aren't going to survive? No. I'm just saying that this trend is here to stay of independent advisors taking control of their own destinies, taking their own clients with them. Again, as I said, we will unpack this much more in much greater detail at a later episode. So that was a key takeaway for me from the future proof. Of course, the contrast I found or I saw between Saastr and future proof. So if you think of Saastr as some of the best and the brightest technology companies, cloud companies, software as a service companies in the world, especially the US, and then you think of future proof as essentially domain specific wealth management type technology companies. The big contrast I saw was that single point solution is still very much alive, even in the US wealth market. And so again, the framework I am thinking about this is like, if you go to, the cutting edge of, technology, where the best and the brightest SaaS companies are, you see this move towards compound product, integration, multiple products on a single platform. When you come to the wealth management industry, not far away, still the best wealth management, setup in the world. Um, what you find is that there is still very much the drive towards single point solutions, where, I still saw estate planning tools that are new estate planning tools that are being created as standalone on their own, and they seem to actually they are getting traction. And you see custodians who just do custodians. So actually, the US wealth market technology is probably much more fragmented than the UK, because it's so big. And so you would find solution. I found technology providers who just do order flow. I'm thinking, what is this? So like, your platform, what we call platform in the UK, will do, not just your custody, will do your order flow, will give you some tools for portfolio management and reporting. They will do your billing, as at least from the platform. The platform will deduct your fees and things like that. um, in the US, you need to cobble together probably 10 different solutions to do this. So you would need your what do you call this? You need your custodian, you need your something to do order flow, you need something for your portfolio management, you need maybe something else for reporting, you need something for fee billing, and that's before you get into financial planning or cash flow modeling, client onboarding, client portal, all these things, or CRM, or back office system as we refer to them. My point is that still, even in the US, there is still just an insane level of fragmentation. You do see, what you call these things, like, a bright rainbow in this giant sky. So you would see, I saw companies like Oil Trust, managed by, founded by, a guy called Jason Wenk, an incredible guy, and where he is, doing that sort of compounding of the custody stack, or the custodian stack, for the advisors. So it build this, they're building this business, essentially, that will give the advisor not just the custody, but also, billing, portfolio management, and reporting, overlay, within a single stack, so that as an advisor, you haven't got to cobble together, 5 different tools to be able to do that. And that business is getting incredible traction. We had this trend. I remember when I, say pre-COVID in US market, where the large custodians, your Schwab and Fidelity, TD Ameritrade has been acquired by Schwab, so that's kind of the same business now. But these large custodians, they went out and they bought financial planning uh, 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 software businesses. So e-money was acquired, I believe, by Fidelity. Money Guide Pro was acquired. I think it was Schwab that acquired them. There was another platform called Advisor, again, that was acquired by Orion. Orion is a kind of what they will call a TAMP in the US, Turnkey Asset Management Provider or Program in the US. So so you do have this. So Orion is an example of a business that started out as a TAMP, but actually they've acquired other technology platform such as Advisor for the financial or cash flow planning element. They acquired, a risk profiling tool. They acquired Redtail, which is the back office or CRM system for financial advisors. So you do see that type of compounding that I talked about, that you saw with at the Saastr conference with cloud companies, but I would argue that it's far less prominent in the wealth management space. There are still lots and lots of single point solutions being built, going, and part of this is because the wealth management market is so deep in the US, and also we've probably made it way too complicated than it needs to be. There is impact of regulation and all those things. That means that maybe providers just like sticking to their knitting in that sense. I would say that that trend isn't necessarily is still at a much earlier stage. I would say this trend towards compounding products or compounding technology platform or compound technology platforms still very much at an earlier stage or process, even in the US. Yeah. So that's my take from future proof. The only other thing that I wanted to point to is the fact that what you didn't see, which was conspicuously absent at these two events, was cryptocurrencies is all but disappeared. Nobody's talking about crypto. Well, certainly not at those events. I don't know what make of that what you will. I guess somebody might still find use for crypto, and maybe you'll come back. But there wasn't any oxygen being given to this thing at crypto. Maybe all the crypto boys or bros are back to their grandmother's basement mining once again, and maybe we'll see them back in action in a few years' time. The other thing I noticed that wasn't as prominent as it was in prior years at Future Proof was direct indexing. Very, very little talk of direct indexing. I mean, there were one or two sessions that I saw about direct indexing, but the reality is that I didn't get the sense that I got the previous year, where everybody was coming out with their own direct indexing platform. I mean, again, for the uninitiated, this idea of direct indexing is that rather than essentially removing the mutual fund structure, so let's say you want to buy S&P 500, rather than buying the index fund, which was simple, straightforward, you could buy, hold the 500 stocks in the S&P 500, directly. The idea of this is made possible through, fractional shares, the fact that you can own parts of a share, and the insanely low trading costs that we have, today in the US. And so, and the idea that you can take the index and maybe customize it a little bit to account for the individual client's tax, nobody is doing this in the UK today apart from Fundment. They launched their direct indexing, platform at Advisor 3.0 conference back in May. And, all that tells me that he is getting interest from, advisors and DF firms. I guess we'll have to see. I do see use for this technology, but I have to say, especially in things like tax planning, and such like. But tax planning, maybe ESG type preferences, but other than that, um, it's challenging. It's problematic. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that there weren't a lot of talk compared to prior years. There were maybe two presentations I didn't see. I saw one mentioned in a discussion. I didn't see the other. But there was far much less. Even when you go to the exhibition stands, I can't remember seeing any. At FutureProof about any demonstration of direct indexing platform. We did see a little bit of AI. There was a lot of talk about AI. I get the impression, though, that the wealth industry is jumping on this bandwagon. No one's actually managed to, talk about or talk with a very degree of clarity about the role of AI and how we're going to use it in the wealth industry. I did see a pretty good demo by Morningstar of their AI tool. I forget what name it's called. I have a recording of it where Ed was talking to these things. So essentially, the application that I had seen today, that particular application of AI, was essentially replacing UI, as in user interface, with AI, artificial intelligence. And so essentially allowing you, this particular use case was essentially allowing you to use natural language when you want to ask for information. So in the past, let's say that say in the past or currently, if you wanted to get some information from Morningstar obviously has incredible amount of insight, articles, data on investing, retirement, all this research and all that stuff. You would have to go and type in your question through the user interface, and then it will give you a million different answers or articles that you can go and read. What this demonstration that I saw of AI allowed you to do was just to ask a question the way you would ask it. So you would say, hey, what do you think of the 4% rule? And he would give you a response. What we found was that in this response, there was a lot of however. So he will give you a case of why the 4% rule maybe was useful. And then he will say, however, this is why it might not work and it might not be useful. So again, I think we're at an early stage of that. That's one application of AI in wealth management, essentially to allow us to use natural language rather than typing into forms. So let's say you want to send a fact find out to, let's say you want to, prepare a financial plan for a client. So rather than, going to your system, to Timeline, logging into Timeline and typing the client's name and sending out a fact find to them or whatever, or gathering the information and creating the plan. You could just say, hey, Timeline, can you create a financial plan for Mr. and Mrs. Jones? Just that. And then, the AI will search all the detail of your client base now, and it will say, I don't have any details for Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Do you have their email? and you would say, yes, this is Mr. and Mrs. Jones's email, and the AI will automatically send out the fact find to them. It comes back and it will create a basic plan for you to have a look at once it's ready. So there is that. I didn't hear any talk of AI replacing human. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. But overall, it was just an incredible experience to go out there, see what's happening in the world. I love going to the US. I love California. I can't decide between San Francisco and LA. No, definitely I can. It will be San Francisco. I just love the buzz. I just love the energy, the entrepreneurship. I know. Gun crimes and all that stuff. And you're completely different if you were living there. I know that. I'm not that stupid. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have to share about that incredible trip, just to see what's going on in the US in terms of technology generally, and of course about the wealth management industry. That's it from me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time. That's a wrap on today's show. Massive thanks to my production crew, especially Jake Osha, Melissa Canham, and the entire team. And of course, to our sponsor, Timeline, the market leading provider of integrated planning technology and model portfolio service to advisors. I do hope you've enjoyed today's show. Head over to Apple Podcast and give us your review there. Until next time, goodbye.